So Kevin and I have been talking about trying out this Substack live thing for a while, and we finally managed to get on here at the same time.
Yeah,
Um, so you in Pennsylvania now?
right now, for the time being, we're just north of Pittsburgh for the next few months.
Excellent,
I
excellent.
miss I miss my Texas though.
Well, I know you moved up there and immediately got snow, so
Yeah, yeah, and it hasn't been every day. I mean, we've only grand total have maybe had a week of snow altogether after being here since mid-February. But um, we are in no way equipped for snow. There was a full-on blizzard earlier this week. So
yeah. Well, I guess they're better equipped than Texas, but
yeah.
you know,
Well, this
I mean,
place is equipped. I'm not equipped.
yeah. Well, and I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, Maddie, I think you're in Iowa. I'm not sure, so not sure what kind of weather y'all been having. But anyway, we're experimenting with this Substack Live thing, and one of the things I like about it is that there is little or no expectation of polish. Maddie's
Yeah.
outside Philly. Okay, so she's pretty close to you now, Kevin. Huh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's several hours from here apparently. But
Well, Pennsylvania's a big state. Um, so we're still figuring this technology out and how to use it. I kind of had, and Matt is saying you can meet up in Harrisburg. I think you guys can see each other's live chat. Anybody who's watching the
I can see.
recording,
Yeah.
they don't save the chat. So that's why
Oh,
I tend to say it out loud. When I see something on chat, because I know anybody who watches the replay, they're not going to
yeah.
see that discussion. So
Yeah.
in
And
any case.
if you catch me looking down a lot, it's because the camera's up here, the screen's down here. It's not like my setup back in my old office. I have to constantly remind myself I got a camera up here.
Yeah, yeah. That's what. Well, and see, that's what I'm looking at the camera, but that means I can't see you right now.
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
used to that in the early days of Zoom, and
yeah,
there,
yeah,
there's all these fancy things now with Zoom that will help with the eye contact. And heck, we just now got for Substack Live. I've got a green screen behind me here because otherwise you'd be seeing all the clutter. That's the main reason I hadn't done lives before, because
yeah,
I had to do it on the phone. And I couldn't have a green screen. Kevin,
yeah.
glad you're here. He's up there in the Northeast too, Rochester, New York. Cold and rainy there. Okay, so what I kind of had in mind to talk about was how do you do this Substack Live thing when you don't have complete control over your schedule? Um,
Mm.
you know, Kevin, you and I've been trying to get together for months here. Um,
Yeah. All
and
that all that moving and everything though, that kind
yeah,
of derailed me, but I'm pretty
that kind of
flexible.
that kind of gets in the way. And I had been targeting Sunday afternoons, did a couple of them, and then last Sunday it was just like just too covered up. Can't quite get it done. Um, so here's what I've settled on. I don't know best practice. This is too early in Substack Live to know best practice. But you can schedule these things up to a year in advance. I
Wow.
don't understand anybody who has that much predictability about their life to be able to do that. You know,
Yeah,
and
no, same here.
yeah. So I had initially tried to set it up like a day in advance, and even that, longtime readers of King's Chronicles, you guys know we lost our disabled daughter in December. 22 years of dealing with her, we had really gotten used to you don't know 10 minutes from now what's going to be happening.
That's right.
Hypothetically, I've got a little bit more control over time now, but I'm still caregiving for partially disabled wife. There's way too many people who have veto power over my plans. And so I'm
Yeah,
hesitant to even schedule a day ahead of time. Last week I had scheduled one and had to cancel it at the last minute.
yeah.
So one of the things we're saying to people is I aim for Sunday afternoons. And if I'm here live, that means the window stayed open. But the what I'm trying today, tried it today. Of course, then we had the tech issues, but I knew I could get on this afternoon, so just schedule it, but for 60 to 90 minutes out.
Yeah.
Now,
It was knocking
folks
my
who are,
camera over.
yeah, I saw it go.
That
We
was
just
not an
went
earthquake, anyone. That was just me not
different
paying enough
setup. Not
attention.
used to it. There's a are you on? You're not on your phone, are you on a computer?
So I am on a computer, but I have a dedicated iPhone that I use as a camera.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I remember
it's on
that
a
from the video
yeah.
setup.
But I've got a second phone now. So like we were able to upgrade our phones recently, and so I've got my phone and this dedicated phone, so I don't have
Yeah,
to switch out all the time. But it's on a little MagSafe stand, and I just knocked it over with the laptop. So
that's the earliest stand I used for my phone was a coffee cup.
yeah,
Yeah, you just stand it up in the coffee cup. Um, Now I just got coffee in the coffee cup. So anyhow, have you tried to do any Substack lives? Is this your first one? Or?
this is the first one, and I know we've had some hiccups, but it seems pretty streamlined. I wish I could figure out why I selected my microphone from the list here, but it doesn't. You guys weren't hearing me at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what would happen if I were to switch it back. I should try it.
Well, and it is all an experiment. I'm
Yeah.
hesitant to try some things because I'm afraid I can't get back. Still don't know why I wasn't able to. You couldn't see me or hear me the first time we tried this,
Yeah,
and
I know. Well, I was having some trouble too. I don't know what exactly went wrong, but like I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't, everything was kind of off. But let me see. I'm going to switch this since this is just experimenting. Let's see
just
what
experiment.
happens.
Okay. So, okay, I heard a click when you switched over. I think not hearing you now. Yeah, doggone it. But of course, the joke is about rebooting, restarting, all that sort of thing. But it's for real. All I did to get back on here was to shut it down and then start up again.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
See, that was user error. I had there's a mute button on this microphone. I hadn't turned it off.
Ah,
So
okay. Yeah. Well,
that's
there is
funny.
that. There is that.
Yeah.
But that's what, I couldn't, the control that's down here, and those of you who have not done this on computer, it's got a little control band down there at the bottom: mic, video, share screen, add guests.
Yeah.
And the camera was showing up there as selectable. It just didn't do anything. And it took me a minute or two to realize nobody was hearing anything either.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, uh, I'm thinking about. I'm trying to figure what is going to be different about doing a Substack live versus doing the kind of podcast that like you've been doing forever, Kevin,
Yeah.
and here lately you've been building on the strength of the what would we call it, the informal, where
Yeah.
you kind of turning on the mic and the camera and not worrying too much about post production and all that sort of thing.
Right. Right.
I think that's strong, and I've been doing my podcast that way all along. So what's going to be different about it with Substack Live
I'll
versus
tell you
just
what
doing
I
it like?
think. Yeah, I think one key difference that I think is going to be an advantage is the first of all, you can have much more interaction and engagement with the people uh, while you're broadcasting, and we've had that capability for a while here and there. YouTube gives us some of that. I've done some live streaming on Facebook, etc. But one thing that I have always appreciated about Substack is the discoverability is very high. People
Yeah.
stumble onto you much easier here than they do elsewhere, and it tends to be. I don't know if when I joined this, I don't know if this went out to my list or not. I don't know if people
Hmm.
who follow me are seeing this or not. So that remains to be seen. But I think, to me, the strength of this is going to be um, Substack is what I consider a high engagement platform,
Hmm.
because you know Facebook can often be a high engagement platform, in my opinion, because if I post something on Facebook, there's a really good chance that people will respond to it. I never get a response when I post on X. I don't
Yeah.
get responses to any social style posts on YouTube. I get comments on my videos, but it's not as the traffic isn't as high. If
Yeah.
I posted a ridiculous micro short story, three lines, Don, on my notes the other day about, and it was literally, a child's laughter is beautiful unless it's coming from your closet at 3 a.m. and you don't have children. I've gotten more engagement on that note than anything I've ever posted on Substack.
And I saw that. I saw that post, so I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's something that I'm wondering about. Um, was it David McElroy, somebody I follow here on Substack? He made the comment that, we hear over and over about consistency being so important in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
But he posted in a note that one of the beauties of Substack is that if you go for a month and you don't post anything and then you post a note, you'll get engagement because
That's right.
Substack is not seeking the algorithm is just not working the
That's right.
same.
Yeah.
And by the way, I can see. I'm not sure if you can see on your interface. This tells me that there are 10 people who are watching right now, and
Let's see.
so
Yes, I can see that.
okay. So if any of you who are where you can, if you want to type in the live chat to say, did you come here following Kevin, or is it from a notification that you got on Don's feed? That'll help us figure out kind of
Oh,
how.
yeah. You've turned
Uh,
this into a competition.
well, I will guarantee you that you have more followers than I do. But
But I
just
don't, that
just see
doesn't
where
mean
they're
they're,
coming from.
yeah, it doesn't mean where they're going to show up. That's the, that's the key. So, uh,
Well, and folks, you are helping us figure out how this works as far as Substack, and maybe what we're figuring out will help you. Of course, just because there are 10 watching doesn't mean there are 10 who could get where they could type on the chat.
oh,
If
does it limit you on who can chat?
It doesn't, but my understanding, see, this is one of the reasons I was excited that we had a computer-based
Right.
opportunity.
Right.
What we're seeing, folks, because Kevin and I are both on computers. There's the two of us side by side, and then over on the right hand side of my screen, I can see the live chat. I've done this enough on the phone to know that if I were doing this from the phone, the chat would just be popping up down at the bottom of the screen. It's not
Right.
immediately obvious what you have to do to chat when you're on the phone.
Yeah.
So 16 people now, and so not if you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I join the chat? Probably you tap your screen to make something pop up.
Yeah. If you're joining on a phone.
If you're joining on a phone, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
if you're
yeah.
on the computer, you've just got a regular old chat interface over there on the right hand side.
So I'm
But
promoting it right now from Facebook and Twitter, but it will not let me open Substack to promote it.
while you're on here, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's a limitation of the app. That's pretty
Yeah.
interesting though.
Not sure. I know that when I set this up, one reason for scheduling it, even if it's only an hour out, is that it gives me a link that I can then post in a note.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
But this
that
was pretty last minute for me.
I would imagine, and
So
that's kind of the nature of it. So here's what I'm planning to do with it, Kevin, for whatever it's worth. I'm going to try on a regular basis to do Sunday afternoons as Substack Live,
yeah.
scheduled or at least planned. And then during the week, once or twice, you just went blurry. Um,
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. Don't know what happened. It's like you put Vaseline on it or something.
Let me see if I can rework it. Oh, it
There we
switched
are.
cameras on me. Let me
Okay,
see if I
so
can get
now
it
you're
back to the
back.
right.
Okay.
It lost my camera.
Lost the camera. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah.
This is like, did you ever wonder Alexander Graham Bell and Watson, they're in the other room yelling at each other and, trying to figure out how this telephone thing works? Um,
Yeah. Let's see. I can't now. I've got schmutz all over the camera. Now I look like
yeah.
I'm being beamed up. Hold on. Let's clean it.
Oh, wait. Okay,
There we
folks.
go.
And as you're watching this, 23 people watching right now.
Yeah.
You're seeing us figure this thing out. So I think that's one of the things. There you go, man. That looks good now.
That's better. That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just completely lost my fancy camera. So I think there's some technology glitches on Substack's part. I
Yeah,
think that
probably
they're
so. I mean, it is really new.
brand new. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is cutting edge. You've been around computer stuff for a while. And I'm going sideways from what I was saying a minute ago. Let me finish that thought and then
Sorry,
go
go
to
ahead. I
that's
can be
because
very distracting.
well, and I think we both deal with ADHD and squirrel. So anyway, I'm planning on Sunday afternoons regularly doing a scheduled or at least a planned Substack live. But then during the week, once or twice during the week, if something is on my mind,
Yeah.
just hopping on spontaneously, thinking out loud a little bit for anybody who wants to join. I think that will really be a way of connecting with people, and
Yeah.
providing genuine connection. And with that connection thought, and I can actually tie it into the other thing that I was going to say. Um, I have been fortunate enough over the years to be involved in early days of several technologies. Most people on here today will not remember a service called Genie. Just about
Mm,
everybody remembers America Online.
yeah.
Okay. So who were the competitors at that time? Genie,
Prodigy Net.
AOL, Prodigy.
Yeah. Uh, I had several, and I was doing billboards, or bulletin boards back then.
Bulletin boards, yeah,
Yeah.
BBS systems.
Yeah. So
And so in the early days of those things, I got to have a conversation with an author I know you will recognize, Jerry Purnell, one of the
oh yeah.
great science fiction.
Yeah.
He was experimenting with Genie, and he joined a same roundtable that I was joining. We had several conversations. And of course, then as Genie got bigger and more celebrities came on, it became harder to connect with them. And then
Yeah.
early days of Facebook, you could talk with some fairly famous people. Not that fame itself is anything all that important. It's just people who otherwise are hard to talk with, you know.
Yeah.
And we're in the early days like that with Substack right now. People coming on that
Seems like they're
normally
kind
you
of
might not get
inventing
to
it as
interact
they
with.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, for whatever it's worth, you're going fuzzy again.
I don't see it on my side.
Okay, yeah, and it just came back into focus. It was more like a focus thing. Have you got
Okay.
auto focus
I got
turned on?
whatever this laptop's inadequate camera can do. So if it's getting fuzzy, I have no control over it. So,
Oh,
and I wonder if I had tuned in from the app instead of on the desktop. I just wanted to try the desktop thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't have nearly as much control over this camera as I have when I use the phone. But you know what? They're going to get better at this stuff. They've already gotten way better at a lot of what they've been doing. Just the fact that we have the ability to do this in a web browser on a laptop rather than always on the phone.
Yeah.
That's what kept me from doing it for the longest time, because I'm like, I can't. I mean, I would have been fine, and maybe it's better. Maybe it's better to just do it without all the fancy things that I lean on. You know. So
I had wondered about that. Yeah, as I said when we were starting out, I wanted to wait for the computer simply
yeah,
so that I could have a green screen back here because the place where I have to work
yeah,
is really cluttered back there, and I just didn't want to deal with that. But then when my computer glitched when we tried to start this thing, I thought, well, I'll just hop on the phone real quick. And I got on the phone, and then I couldn't figure out how to start it from the phone.
Yeah.
It's not immediately obvious how you start a Substack Live on the phone app, but that's where this whole thing started.
Yeah.
So I don't
Hey,
know if I
we're
can
at
figure out how
24
to do it.
viewers, by the way.
Do what now?
Yeah. We got 24 people tuning in now, by the way.
And something that I find interesting, again, folks, anybody that is able to and wants to, we could actually bring you on here, is my understanding. But over there in the live chat, I'm seeing occasional names of so and so joined. S.A. Holland, glad to have you with us. Kevin Hall's been on with me before. I'm not sure if you're still there, Kevin.
Maddie had to
But
drop out.
maybe, yeah, Maddie had to leave. But not all these 24 have showed up in the live chat. So there's a difference between people who are coming on who are already followers, perhaps, or subscribers.
Oh, is that how it does it?
I
Limits it?
think so. I think so. There's
Yeah.
not
A
everybody who
plethora.
joins is showing up on live chat. In other words, and I'm not 100% sure what the difference might be in
Yeah,
the
that
number.
could be it, though.
Yeah, Kevin's
That's a
still here. So the other Kevin Hall. We got.
Yep.
What are the odds? We got a few people here and two Kevins.
I don't know. We could ask AI. What are the odds?
Oh,
It's a good strong name though.
yeah.
It's got a hard consonant right at the beginning.
It's one of those names that if it wasn't your actual name, you might take it as a pen name.
True. Yeah. It's funny. So Kevin J. Anderson and I are acquaintances. I'll call us friends. We chat sometimes. And I confided in him that when I uh, first started publishing, I chose the pen name. It's my real name, but I chose to use J. Kevin Tumlinson in part because he was already, killing it out there. And I thought, well, maybe people will mistake me for him. And then briefly, I wrote under J.K. Tumlinson just to see if I could capture some J.K. Rowling fans. So
That's good strategy.
yeah,
And folks who might see the replay, you're not going to see what's said in live chat. So Kevin Hall commented, I always wanted to do a conference of all Kevins. Won't have to have name tags.
the Council of Kevins.
Yeah, yeah.
I
In
like
fact,
that.
here's one of my ADHD squirrel things. How did you react when the Minions chose Kevin as one of the primary characters?
Yeah, that was a proud moment in Kevin history right there. Right up with Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. It, we Kevins like to claim our place in history. We have all the best Kevins.
Oh,
You know,
sure. Yeah,
there's Kevin
absolutely.
Costner, Kevin Bacon. I mean, that may be the greatest Kevin of them all, Kevin Bacon. I mean, his name alone, Kevin Bacon. So yeah, we have all the best actors are named Kevin.
Absolutely. So it occurs to me we have a lot of folks who are coming in the middle of this. Let's do quick introductions. So since we can't tell who came here through you, who came here through me,
Yeah,
my name is Donn King. No, I don't know Mike Tyson. Yeah, my hair looks different. Get that out of the way. Um, I know Kevin through writing, and we're both podcasters, been on each other's podcasts,
yeah,
and looking forward to the day when we can meet in person somewhere in y'all's van life traveling around. If you go to the Great Smoky Mountains, you got to
yeah.
be sure and let me get you and your wife a cup of coffee.
Well, we are planning to kind of make some loops around the country before we return to Texas. So we'll see what
Excellent,
happens.
excellent.
So
And
yeah.
so, and why don't you introduce yourself real quick here?
All right. Well, I'm Kevin Tumlinson. I write under the name J. Kevin Tumlinson. So that might confuse some people, but I podcast a lot of podcasting over the years. I've got about 70 fiction novels out to my name at the moment, and more coming. And love hanging out with other writers and podcasters. So
Absolutely.
Don reached out to me about an hour ago and said, "Hey, if you happen to be available,
pop into this thing.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I'm
just
thinking, at
happened to
least,
be.
yeah. I'm thinking for the near future, this kind of almost spontaneous gatherings are going to be pretty emblematic of
Yeah,
Substack.
I agree. And I think this is the way forward in the current age of AI, because what I'm seeing is not a rebellion against AI when it comes to, literature or film production or whatever. I mean, there are certainly some pretty vocal people against it, but what I'm seeing is a hunger for people to connect to other people in
Mm,
authentic ways. And that's, you mentioned earlier that I was embracing, that kind of style with my podcast and my YouTube channel and everything. And I've done that here on Substack as well. And it is because of that. I want people to know who I am. I want to interact with people as human beings. And I think that that's what's going to see us all through this. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the media recently, but I mean, there's been an author accused of writing her book with AI, and it got all the way to publication, and people are upset. And I'm like, I don't know why anybody's upset. If she lied, she lied. But if she's
yeah.
breaking the rules, fine. But what I don't like is what I'm seeing, which is everyone kind of going after people and
Hmm.
accusing them, attacking them. Is a total witch hunt. But I think the cure for this is, one, if you want to be a writer, don't use AI to write a book. It's
Yeah.
probably just a no-brainer. Use AI to assist you, fine. Don't use it to do the work for you, but that's up to you. But I think, two, make yourself an authentic, real presence for people so that they know you as the writer, and you're going to gain a much bigger following, a much more loyal following. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about lately, Don. Sorry.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like our friend Joanna Penn says, double down
Yeah.
on being human,
Yeah.
and that is the area. And folks, if you what Kevin was just referencing, he posted a note about this thing. I guess it's been maybe a couple of hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago, and I responded to the note, and that was what made me think, hey, I ought to see about getting Kevin on here this afternoon. Um, but I had a parallel thought. AI only writes the way it does because it learned it from humans. It
Yeah.
didn't necessarily learn good writing.
Hmm.
It just learned common patterns, and humans have always used the M dash. They've always written that not X but Y
Right.
kind of patterns. So to me, it's the overuse of those things that are kind of a mark of AI.
Yeah.
The thing is, I taught college for 40 years. I retired a year and a half ago. I've seen that kind of pattern in English comp students for years.
Right. Right.
So it may be that she didn't use AI to write it. She just may not, and I'm not saying this to be critical of her, okay, but she just
Yeah.
may not be that skilled a writer.
Right.
There's been some bestsellers, you and I both know bestsellers that are not particularly well written. They're just good stories.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so I tend to believe her if she says she didn't use AI. But I agree with you 100%. If Hachette, and let's go ahead and put their name out there,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
If Hachette had a problem with it, they should have
They,
done something about it to
yeah.
begin with.
Look, if she went in lying and they have a clause in the contract that says, I did not write this with AI,
Hmm.
she deserves, some censure. I don't believe she deserves to be canceled, which is what's happening. Like they're just
Hmm.
raking her over the coals and destroying any hope of career because she dared write a book with AI. I just have a problem with that because
Hmm.
it's there's at least 50% responsibility on Hachette for this, and I actually believe a great deal more
Hmm.
because if that's their rule and they're that set on it and that stringent about it, then their editor who looked at that book and acquired that book should have checked it to see if that was the case. And every single person I've heard talk about this says it just looks like it feels like it was written by
Yeah,
AI. That is not evidence or proof. I had someone
exactly.
text me earlier to say, look, it was definitely written by AI. I mean, just I've seen it. It's definitely how do you know? No one's bothered to really investigate it. They just went straight to raking her over the coals. I'm very protective of the author community, Don.
Yeah.
And I don't like,
I agree.
if she lied, I mean, I think she faces the consequences of her lie. But if, whether she's lying or not, I don't think she deserves what's coming out of this. I think that Hachette is shirking its own responsibility and making her the scapegoat.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And there's too often that people will say, oh, you can tell that it's AI. And in situations where I know it wasn't,
Yeah.
and it gets a false positive, because maybe
I am seeing a
somebody's
lot of
not
that.
all that skilled at writing, or they're imitating what they have. I think these days, there are certain patterns to AI writing,
Yeah.
and humans are imitating those patterns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially beginning writers.
But don't you think, I see this as an advantage now. We've been worrying for a long time about the glut of books on the market, the rapid release crowd flooding the market with, frankly, a lot of poorly written novels and distracting people from discovering our work that we hopefully are doing a better job with. And then AI comes along and it like 100x'd all that. And now I'm starting to see that I've been kind of preaching this for a while, you may know, but rapid release is no longer the advantage it once was.
Yeah.
I think that writers now all creators now have an advantage in being their flawed human selves, not to release flawed product. Don't go around adding, typos or leaving grammar mistakes in your work, hoping that that's going to make you look human. But instead, I'm going to get out there just like I always have, really. But I mean, I'm going to be very open about what I'm working on, where I'm making mistakes, what I'm doing, the trouble I'm having, and I'm going to, write what I write and let people make their determination about it. I think that that's actually now a strength rather than a weakness. I think for a long time we saw the human part of ourselves as a weakness because I have only so much time to write and I can only write certain things and I'm flawed in my perspective or whatever. I think people are looking for that because it's genuine and authentic now. So this is how we beat AI, by being human. This is how we beat it.
Well, and how we use AI, because I know you and I both are using AI to do some of the grunt work so that it gives us more time to write. Why would I use AI to write? I mean, that's the fun part.
That's always been my part. Yeah. Like I got into this because I like writing and I like telling stories.
Yeah.
So why even have like a ghostwriter?
Yeah. Exactly. It's cheaper than a ghostwriter. Flip it over though, come on, folks. You don't have to have AI to do a bad job of writing.
That's right. I've seen plenty of poorly written manuscripts that were not AI and might have benefited from using AI.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to come down to I don't know. To loop us back to the whole point of this thing, we're testing this Substack Live thing. I think what's going to happen is platforms are going to begin to emerge. Substack is to me the first of them, where they're not gearing everything around the algorithm. They're gearing everything toward natural, organic discoverability, and they're putting their bets on authenticity. They want real writers, real creators to use these platforms. I think one of the problems with YouTube, I remember this was a few years ago, but I think it's still true. But apparently YouTube has just never been profitable. It gets used for other aspects of revenue for the company, like using it for training. They used it for train AI, and there's a whole lot of things it's been used for. But I think that if Google were smart, they would start stripping out the algorithm as it is now, because it's all ad based. It's all completely focused on serving ads, and that's how they make their revenue. Totally get it. But if you're not profitable anyway, I think that they actually stand a chance of gaining more traction if they strip out all the algorithm stuff increase natural organic discoverability. And there are lots of different ways they could monetize that platform. But if they will do what other platforms are starting to do and share more of that revenue with their top creators, X is kind of doing this. If you do all the work of building your audience on X, then they start sharing revenue with you.
Mm-hmm.
I still think their methods are a little flawed and kind of insulting, but I think people are going to start, companies are going to start figuring this out, because I think there's more revenue to be made by encouraging people to discover the minds that they resonate with the best, rather than simply an algorithm serving them, what it thinks the most logical next thing for them to consume is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's worthwhile thinking. We really are. We've said a few times here, we're in the early days of Substack.
Yeah.
We're really in the early days of figuring out the economic model. I'd say for the internet in general, I'm certainly not old enough, neither one of us is old enough to know the early days of radio, but in the 1920s, they hadn't quite figured out how are we going to make money with this thing.
Yeah.
RCA put out the first radio stations because they were wanting to sell radios and people
Yeah.
needed something to listen to. Otherwise, why buy a radio?
Right.
And then it moved from that to, okay, are we going to support it through advertising, or are we going to try the Canadian model and have it supported by the government as a public service?
Yeah.
Garrison Keillor, excellent writer. I love his writing. I love his radio stuff. He wrote a book called WLT. It was fiction, but I think it's probably based on WSM. WSM, the letters stand for We Shield Millions. It was an outlet of an insurance company. So WLT stood for With Lettuce and Tomato. It was started by, in the fiction book, it was started by a sandwich shop who was using the radio broadcast to attract customers. And as it developed, in his book, his fiction, of course, but it was reflective of actual discussions. The manager of the WLT station said, I don't want to accept advertising. Here's how advertising works. Somebody gives you $5 and he says, here's $5. Say, and then it's a word that I'm not going to say on here, pastor and all that kind of stuff. Let's just say crap, okay? Here's $5, say crap. And because they gave you $5, you turn on your microphone and you say, crap.
Yeah.
I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of radio stations in the early days who didn't want to take advertising for that reason. We're still figuring out, Substack's got a different economic model.
Yeah.
There is an algorithm there, but the algorithm is aimed towards helping you and me, for example, to find people interested in our stuff.
Yeah.
Because they know that about 10% of our free subscribers will wind up doing paid subscriptions if we turn on paid subscriptions. And then they make their money by taking a percentage of paid subscriptions. So they have a vested interest in helping us build large audiences that stay with us.
Right. Right. And they do a lot of encouragement for me on behalf of getting those paid subscribers. I'm very grateful to, and I've interviewed the folks at Substack for the Writers Inc. podcast. I'm very grateful for what they've built, and I think it's a very forward-thinking platform. I think they are still figuring out how this works. I think that this is part of the new dynamic of the social media space, we'll call it. I think that, because even X, Twitter, whatever, they've leaned in on, they're trying to encourage more creators to use that platform for video and audio work. They've got a whole creator lab thing. I'm watching Apple has shifted their model. I'm irritated a little by Apple's model because I paid so much money for all the software that they are now giving you people for $8 a month for now. But I can't help but notice all the big name companies are shifting their models to a more creator centric model. And Apple this past week or so, past 2 weeks, released the MacBook Neo, which is a $600 MacBook. That is, I'm watching all my guys on YouTube do bench tests on this thing, and it's like they're amazed, for this tiny machine with only 8 gig of memory and only like less than 500 gig of hard drive space. It's performing like a monster, and
Wow.
I'm just looking at all these things happening and the stuff that's happening with mobile technology, and I know that what we're doing ironically, in the age of AI taking over creative as well as anything, uh, we're moving towards a creator economy. We're moving towards companies, whether they realize they're doing it or not, are banking on guys like us to come along and create as much content with as much variety as possible to capture as many people as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And Kevin Hall comments, Mac's cheaper than a PC. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know.
Um, it's everything's changed so much. I find it interesting that they're shifting to a creator economy at the very point that everybody is worried about AI
Right.
taking over creativity. To me, it
You know
just
what we should
points
call it?
out. Do what?
We should call it something other than a creator economy. I think it's an authenticity economy.
Authenticity. Yeah, yeah,
I think that's what we're looking at.
yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. So, which is good news in a lot of ways, but trying to figure out, okay, how do we monetize that? It's not just about monetization, but on the other hand, for the time that you spend on it,
Yeah.
if you could make more working at a fast food place, then what is it that draws us in? Now, of course, as writers, we know,
Yeah.
there's easier ways to make a living. So,
Right.
that's true for just about anything, though, when you get right down to it.
I mean,
There's
but
so turn that over. There's so many ways to make a living.
yeah, I think though, like I certainly make more. All my career, I've made more by creating than I had when I was working, retail jobs or whatever,
Mhm.
even with commission jobs. And so, for me, this is just it. This is my work. I wish I could make a little more, but I'm getting there. It steadily increases over time. But I think that's what we're seeing though, is a shift. I think we will see it. There's there's growth here for okay, as these platforms start to figure out that it's like they're figuring out the golden rules of this thing. It's like if we help these creators to make their living, they'll stick around and create more things, and that means we can make more money. So they need to figure out how they can help us monetize and take a piece of that monetization, and not the lion's share of it, like YouTube tends to do. Hey, we're going to pay you for every 1,000 people you get to watch an ad. You're going to get a penny. I mean, come on. You couldn't have that platform without our content, but
Yeah.
we are the lowest point of that machine. We earn the least out of everyone else, and but without us, the whole thing wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when someone figures out how to invert that, when someone figures out that, well, if I invert this and the creators make more than I do, I can make billions because I'm helping
Well,
them
yeah,
make trillions.
that makes sense. It does. I've never worked in the industry, but I hear that, like in Hollywood, writers wind up being the lowest paid.
Yeah.
And
Trust me,
so
I've worked in Hollywood. It is true. You are the least paid, the person they care the least about, the person they pay the least attention to. But without you, nothing they do could exist.
yeah, yeah. Interesting change in economic model. Well, we've been on here for 45 minutes at this point.
Yeah.
This is as long as when I do a podcast episode. So I appreciate so much you coming on with little or no notice. This has made this conversation so much better. And for folks who might be on with us live or who might see the replay, tell them how to find you not just on Substack, wherever you want to send folks. Although I know you're really active on Substack.
I am active on Substack, kevintumlinson.substack.com right here. And if you go to kevintumlinson.com, you can, it'll loop you back here, but you can find all the other things. And I would appreciate you going and looking at some books. Find your next favorite novel at kevintumlinson.com/books.
There you go.
Do I sound like I've got that spiel down? I've got that down.
How many times have you said that? But I had invited, by the way, I had invited Mark Leslie Lefebvre to come on with us if he was able. And
yeah, I'd love to see Mark.
He wasn't able to, but Mark said something just the last couple of weeks that has really stuck with me. He feels like there's stuff that he has said over and over and over and over to the point that people are sick of it. And he put some of it out again a couple of weeks ago. And how many people said, "Wow, this is stunning. I've never heard this before."
Don, let me tell you something. In mid-February or so, I started doing a daily weekday 10-minute video, and I've committed to doing it every day unless something breaks me away. And all I'm saying is the same stuff I've been saying for the past 20 years. And I get hundreds of commenters popping in saying, "Oh man, this is great advice. Thank you so much. This changed the way I was thinking about my writing and in my career." And I guess the lesson here is don't underestimate the value of your long-held wisdom. People need it. Make sure you're going out and sharing what you know, even if you think everyone already knows it. Go share it. So
even the people who've heard it before can use reminding, but the fact is, for a lot of folks, it's the first time they're hearing that. And so if you've come here from Kevin, again, my name's Donn King. No, I don't know Mike Tyson. Yeah, my hair looks different. I always have to say that for people of a certain age. I have not written as many books as Kevin. I've got 6 of them out there now. Got 3 others that are get in front of my face so I can show. Got 3 others in progress right now. I'm about 2 weeks away from releasing a book of devotionals for caregivers. And so that's, but I'm also writing a rom-com under a pen name. So this is fun. So you can find my stuff at DonnKing.com. That's D with a DONN, double N. Who do we know who uses that pattern, Kevin?
That would be a certain pen.
Yes. So Donn King with a double N /books, and you can find my books there. So folks, thank you for joining us today. If you came through me and you don't know Kevin Tumlinson, you need to get over to kevintumlinson.substack.com. Is that what you're doing? You just said it a minute ago.
Yeah.
If you came over from Kevin to me, you can find my stuff on Substack at kingschronicles.substack.com or thealignmentshow.com. And I will look forward to having more of these conversations, Kevin. There's never any expectation, by the way, but there's always opportunity. If you just want to, I have fun talking with you, and this is just fun.
Well, I have fun talking to you too, and I'm usually around.
So y'all take care. And I haven't come up with a really snappy signature sign off yet for Substack, so we'll figure that one out. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a good time writing or doing whatever it is that you do.
Take care.
Bye-bye.